Hi, this is Rusted Magic. Today I thought we would have a look at what you can use null objects for. If you look at the properties for a null object, P for properties, there is an appearance tab. So if we create a null object here, and then we go into properties, and under the appearance tab we can add different type of objects to display the null object as. One of them is the frame rate meter, and if we attach one, we get the frame rate in the lower left corner here, and we can see the frame rate when we animate if it's too slow or things like that. The little red rectangle will show the maximum frame rate. This is quite a useful tool sometimes if you need to know the frame rate when you animate and things like that. Another thing you can do is to add comments to your scene, important information to remember things when you go back to a scene later and maybe forget about it. So that's quite useful. There is a plugin, and if you look it up, it's called Item Comments. It's under Utilities Plugins Additional. And we also have it under the, if you go in to look under the additional menu, we can find it there, Item Comments. It's not the most convenient place to have it, but you can add it as a shortcut or as a menu item somewhere if you want. You get a dialog box and you can add a comment for any item you want here. So for the light source, we can add a comment here. And we can also do camera, add another comment there, like this. So that's all nice and well, and we can later go back and read these comments and so on, so that works well. But sometimes you want to actually show the comment in the scene, so it's obvious there. And for that, we can create a null object. Let's call it comments. And if we look at the properties for that, under the appearance tab again, we can add an object, called a modifier called the item comment display. And we can set the colors and stuff like this here. And we can decide which item we want to display the comment for. And as you can see, the green text pops up here for the light. We can also offset it away from the light if it's difficult to read and things like that. And we can add multiple comment items like this for different ones if we want to show more. So here we both have a light and a camera comment in this case, for example. So this will stay in the scene and you will always see it there. So you can, of course, go in and disable the plugin and under the properties, the modifier, and it will go away. So you can control what to show and hide very easily here. It's quite useful to have things to remember in the scenes and things like that. And again, we can go back to the comments dialog and see them there and read all comments we have in the scene. If we need to estimate angles or something in the scene, we can add a protractor appearance item to it. If we go into the appearance tab and add a protractor, we get it like this in the scene here. And we can configure it in a number of different ways. So we can have 180 degrees or 360 degrees. That's up to us. We can set the axis to show it on. And we can also attach a label so we can see the actual angles if we like that. We can set the color. We can also show a mark in it. It gets a yellow line at a specific angle if we need to know that. So we can see exactly where we are. We can also show a range, and then we specify two different angles, and it shows the range between them, so we can estimate that. So in any of the front, side, or left view, it's mostly the useful. In perspective view, not so much, most of the time. So here we have it. We can see exactly where we are, and we can estimate angles and use it as a tool in our scenes. It's something that can be useful from time to time. We can also scale it if we want to. If size is not correct, you can scale it like any other object, and it will scale and show the correct angles anyway. So that's also something. If we use the size tool here, and we can change the size, scale it any way we want. Another appearance modifier we can use is the ruler. It works the same way as the protractor. So if we add a ruler here, we get a ruler in the scene. And just like any other one, we can set different properties for it. So we can set the axis to have the ruler on. And we can also, by default, it shows 1/10 of a unit in your scene. Normally that would be 1/10 of a meter. You can also set it to feet inches if you prefer that. You can also show, if you want to show the numbers or not, there's a checkbox here. Turn it on or off, makes it more readable sometimes, depending on what you do. So again, usually mostly useful in one of the front, side, top views. In perspective view can also be useful. You can easy estimate distances for different things. So it's a useful tool to show in the scene sometimes. If you need a longer ruler, that's okay. You can scale it. It will not scale up the distance between the markers. It will just scale the how long the ruler is. Finally, we have the rangefinder. I noticed LightWave 3D put up a video about this with even more details. I'll put a link to it in the description, but here's a quick overview. You add a rangefinder to the appearance tab for a null object, and you can then set the item you want to measure the distance to, if you want to show a line between it. And you can set the precision and some other options here. You can also set how far you want the labels, and it will simply measure the distance between whatever you set as the item to measure the distance to. When you have a straight line, it's easy usually to do it by hand, but if you have the distance between this item and they are not on a straight line, it's quite difficult to estimate the distance by eye, so then it's a useful tool to measure exactly. There's many uses for this tool. That's something you really can find many uses for if you just remember it's there. I always forget about it, but it's you can set the label offset just like the other ones. You get the text away from the actual other stuff, so sometimes it's difficult to read, so it's a good thing to move it away a little bit. And as you can set it to any object, it's easy to just switch and measure distance between this and that. So a useful tool again from time to time, but it's not something you realize it's there if you don't know about it. That was it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon again.